morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, it's time we had a little bit of a look at Clefable. You see, well, Clefable's alright, and Clefairy's alright, but they're kind of disparate and separate. And the good news is that we now actually have a new card, which I showed you a couple of days ago. I suppose it really depends on when this went up. And these new cards, or new card, is going to make a huge difference when it comes to the playability of Clefable. Now, Clefable starting off, really we play it for the ability Prankish. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon on top of their deck. So essentially you're playing a little bit of energy denial here, and this is where the hype for Clefable came in. It came in as an energy denial deck. And to be fair, it does that quite nicely. Let's not forget we got Scoop Up Net at the moment, which lets you pick up your Clefable. So in theory, you bench a couple of Clefairy, and then you bench a Clefable, and oh look, you get rid of an energy. And then next turn, you Scoop Up Net, you promote your Clefairy, evolve the Clefable, oh look, get rid of an energy, and then you bench your Clefairy, and round you go, every turn rocking a new Clefable, getting rid of more energy. And you can combine this with stuff like Crushing Hammer, flip a coin if heads, discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. You can combine it with stuff like Team Yell Grunt, which will take an energy off and put it in your opponent's hand. Maybe even Lieutenant Surge's strategy to be playing a couple of them in one turn. And then stuff like Power Pad to recover. In theory, we've got a nice little energy denier. But Clefable was never a fighter. Clefable never really worked as an attacker, because Clefable's got a single attack that for 2 energy does 60 damage. It's not exactly all-inspiring. So we got this nice little tech to get rid of energy, this nice little energy denial Pokemon, but that's it. That's all we've got. It doesn't really do anything other than that. But we also got Clefairy, which is a very different Pokemon we like for a different way. As a side note, we did get one in Rebel Clash. We don't like the one in Rebel Clash. We like the slightly older one from Cosmic Eclipse. And the Clefairy from Cosmic Eclipse for 3 energy does 60 damage. And you put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. And then you may play Lily's Pokédoll from your hand as your new active Pokemon. Oh. Yeah, that's actually like super interesting. Lily's Pokédoll, for those of you that may have forgotten, is basically that item card that acts as a 30 HP Pokemon that just kind of sits there and chills. And most importantly, and this is the big point here, doesn't give up a prize when KO'd. And that's why we like Clefairy. We like Clefairy because it doesn't give up a prize when KO'd. As a fun little side note, this is of course from back in the Sun and Moon era, from before we actually said goodbye to fairy Pokemon. So Clefairy does come in as an actual fairy Pokemon, whereas the one I showed you from Rebel Clash is very, very much psychic and sad and boo-hiss, etc. Now, the problem with Clefairy, there were a few of them. The 60 damage is alright, putting Lily's Pokédoll active is awesome, but the free energy was awkward to pay. And yeah, you could use stuff like Welder and you could use Twin Energy, but you never had a particularly good way of paying the energy. Plus, you've got 50 HP, and you got to get your Lily's Pokédoll out, but you're not always going to get your Lily's Pokédoll out because of the whole, free energy, which becomes just super awkward, and you were left with a Pokemon that seemed to have a bunch of potential but fizzled out rather quickly. But then, just yesterday, day before, a couple of days ago, depends when this video goes up, I showed you that new trainer card memory capsule, new Pokemon tool. And our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, but essentially, this is memory energy as a Pokemon tool. Or it's Shrine of Memories as a Pokemon tool. Or it's Shining Celebi's ability as a Pokemon tool. You attach it to a Pokemon and then you're allowed to use any attacks of the pre-evolution of that Pokemon. So if this is attached to a Clefable, you can use Clefairy's attack. And remember what we said. We like Clefable, but we want to attack with Clefairy. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely rolling. Because remember what happens when you use Clefairy's attack. You put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand, and then you may play Lily's Pokédoll from your hand as your new active Pokemon. Which means you're not losing the tool. You attach the tool, you attack, Clefable and all cards attached to it go into your hand, because you're using Clefable but using Clefairy's attack. So even if your opponent's got a tool scrapper, they're not going to be able to play it to get rid of your tool, because your tool's going to be in your hand. As a side note, we do have cards like Reset Stamp and Marnie, which will be super annoying here. And we've seen this time and time again with Pokemon like this that put themselves in your hand. Stuff like Reset Stamp and Marnie will be super annoying and will slow you down. But you just have to have a nice consistent deck and thin it out as much as you can and hope it works out rather nicely indeed. And then of course, as soon as you're an evolved Pokemon, you get access to triple acceleration energy. And this is the other reason this is so gosh darn good. Because we need a way to pay Clefairy's attack cost in one go, but it's just not working. We don't have a good way to pay the attack cost in one go, and that's super awkward. So what we end up with instead is a Clefable that can just go for a single energy and start rolling. And now if we start adding this up, it starts looking really nice. Because we're constantly evolving into Clefable, so we're constantly getting rid of our opponent's energy. And then we're also being able to pay the attack cost in one go. And we're doing 60 damage, and we're swapping for a Lily's Pokédoll. Bearing in mind, we're always going to have, unless our opponent plays something like a Reset Stamp, we're always going to have our Triple Acceleration energy in hand. We're always going to have our tool in hand. We're always going to have a Clefable in hand. So as long as we can have a Clefairy sitting on the bench, and remember, every turn you pick up a Clefable, the next turn you can bench a Clefairy, then every turn you can just Clefable, Triple Acceleration, tool, go. This means you don't have to keep reusing Scoop Up Net to keep getting rid of your opponent's energy. But you can. If you've got two Clefairies, you can just evolve both up to a Clefable, attack with one, but Super Scoop Up Net the other, or just Scoop Up Net, and then get ready to evolve and then double return energy next turn. So you can constantly be putting your opponent's energy back. Bearing in mind, when you put their energy back on top of their deck, you guarantee they're not going to be drawing anything other than the energy next turn. So late in the game, if you reset stamp them to 1 or 2, and then you pop an energy on top of their deck, you know they're not drawing that Pokemon they need. You know they're not drawing their supporter, unless they got it off the reset stamp, because you know they're drawing an energy. And there are plenty of problems with this theory. You're only playing 4 Lily's Pokédoll and they're too difficult to recover from the discard. So if your opponent KOs them, they're gone. But remember, you're not just whacking your Clefairy doll active, you're also getting rid of your opponent's energy. You're playing this as an energy denial deck. And I'm imagining you're playing stuff like Super Scoop Up and Team Yell Grunt. Remember, once you start this rolling, every turn you're going to have your Clefable, your energy, your tool in hand. The only thing you're going to need to find is your Lily's Pokédoll. So in theory here, you should be able to spend a couple of turns playing Team Yell Grunt without worrying about draw. And that makes it less likely that your opponent's actually going to be able to get a KO on your Lily's Pokédoll, because you're stopping them attacking by getting rid of their energy. And now that you're not getting KO'd, you can just put Lily's Pokédoll back on the bottom of your deck, and round we go. I'm not sure if this is going to work, because as soon as your opponent KOs 4 Lily's Pokédoll, they're going to be attacking into good stuff you've actually got. And that's going to be kind of awkward. But then again, there's always some ways around to recover it, even with an attack, even if it's super awkward. And we don't have great options at the moment, but in the past we've had stuff like Oranguru. We've had stuff like Lantern that can recover your item cards from your discard pile and get them back into your hand. And, I mean, at the moment we do have EVGX. Now, I'm not suggesting EVGX is a great option, and that you should run and put this into your deck as fast as possible. But I am saying that we do constantly get these cards that allow us to recover these items, and that giving up a prize to recover a bunch of these and get the whole thing rolling again probably is going to end up being worth it. So it's certainly something I've got my eye on. I mean, Excadrill from Unified Mind is a stage 1 that will let you do it. Now, it's got a high retreat of 2. I suppose you can still use Air Balloon. So maybe you end up using my boy Excadrill. So you do this until you lose all your Lily's Pokédoll, then you give up a turn of attacking to use Excadrill to get your Lily's Pokédoll back and roll. And I don't think it's the best option ever, but it is going to survive the rotation, so it's probably something to bear in mind. And my point is that we can probably work with this. Or we just use this whole thing as a backup in another deck of a really good attacker. My point here is that whereas Clefable used to be, quite nice for the energy, but it's too awkward because you can't attack, and Clefairy used to be, nice attack, but it's too awkward, it's not going to get rolling, just getting this memory capsule tool all of a sudden makes us look at it and go, that can actually legitimately work. And that makes me actually legitimately happy. But I'd like to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.